So many founders don't realize the importance of defining specific target audience for the business. But even bigger delusion that I always hear is like, oh, I know everything about my target audience. It's actually just like age, gender, and maybe a couple of interests which they know. And this is obviously not every aspect of the target audience which you have to know. So in this video, I'm not just gonna give you the characteristics of the target audience which you need to know, but also I'm gonna try to make it extremely actionable for you, explain how to use this information, and most importantly, how to find those data points. Before we start, I just wanna emphasize on a couple of reasons why I think every company should know specifically what their target audience is, especially at the very beginning stage, before they spend millions of their budget. First, as a founder, the information about who you're selling to will just help you understand whom to build and optimize the product for. And secondly, it's going to help you define marketing tactics and also create relevant marketing ideas and also content creation ideas in general. And I'm actually a big believer that if you understand which company or a product you are a perfect target client of, you will understand this concept a little bit better. Taking myself, I think I'm a perfect client for the Apple Watch product. I'll have all the functions which I use: time, alarm clock, also the fitness tracker, the sleep tracker. It gives me notifications as well, and many other features. And I think I use every single feature for Apple Watch, or the majority of them. And I believe the designers and people who actually work on Apple Watch, they know me as a perfect target audience, and they know every single need that I have. Think of a product you recently bought, or maybe it's all you subscribed for. Understand why you might be the perfect customer for them and what this company knows about you as their ideal kind of client. Now that actually leads us to another extremely important point, is choosing a very niche segment of the audience. And please, I'm begging you, do not choose the niche just out of the blue. I recently talked to a guy, and he has a marketing agency, and I asked him like, hey, there's a bunch of marketing agencies nowadays. How do you differentiate? How do you stand out? And he told me, yeah, we only work with the founders which are like 55-plus-year-old. Sure, there might be demand for it. They actually might choose a particular niche of their big target market. But at the same time, this is not too logical from my point of view, and this is chosen just kind of out of the blue. There are better ways of choosing your niche, making it a little bit more logical and rational. So in order for you to do that, you need to think about your total addressable market and find a particular segment of it which is currently underserved. Let's take a fitness app, and we're going to refer to this business case throughout the entire video. There are a gazillion fitness apps out there on the market, right? So how do you stand out? Choosing a more niche segment of the market. Take the, I don't know, running fitness app. Even more particular, fitness app for those who are preparing for a marathon. Now, okay, there's a certain amount of people which fall under this category of preparing for a marathon this year, and there might be not too big of a number of people who are doing that. But this is amazing because you have to start small to then expand into something bigger later on. And so now we can think of different aspects of this particular target audience which you gonna learn more and also understand about them better. And here I'm gonna go through the list of what's really important to know and also why you need to know that, and I'm gonna explain what you can do with this information. So first, it's simple and easy. This is age and gender. I think everyone knows that. This is not too helpful, but I think this is gonna help us just bring us a little bit closer to understanding of the interests of the people. So for our fitness app, let's think of a range of people who are more likely to use an app to prepare for a marathon to run within this or next year, which are probably maybe 28 to 37 years old. But I would just keep any gender, it doesn't really matter in this case. The second one is hobbies and interests. And a lot of people think that those have to be relevant to your product, but it doesn't. Take an example of marathon runners, right? What can be their hobby besides just running? Might be playing tennis, right? So this is a hobby which is unrelated to the running experience, or like somewhat related, but us knowing that, we can also maybe make a partnership with like a tennis club or tennis app to bring our users to them and their users or their potential clients to us, and kind of collaborate and partner around there. Another reason you need to know the hobbies and interests of your target client is to build a brand around that. So for an example, if you're gonna think of like social media promotions or any kind of advertisement online, especially in terms of videos. In our case, for marathon runners, those could be being social and spending time with friends, right? So you can already think of like different social media campaigns or just in general social media content creation, where the person would be a marathon runner or want to prepare for a marathon, and they, instead of just running alone, they're going to be running with friends, or maybe have a dinner with friends after they run a marathon. And you can now think of the person who's going to watch the video, and he's going to be like, okay, that guy in the video is actually also running, preparing for a marathon. He is hanging out with friends, pretty much similar person to me, but he also uses that app. Let me also try that app because I think this is useful if that guy, which is very similar to what I am, is using it. This is kind of the logic behind it, and if you know more of an interest of a target client, and you can like show that throughout your brand and through your videos and content especially, that can resonate really well with your potential clients. Last reason it's that important to know the interests and hobbies is you can just build different and extra features of the product. So we talked about the interest of playing tennis for the marathon runners. In this case, in your program or in your app where you help them prepare for a marathon, you can include not just running preparation or stretching, for example. You can also include maybe casually playing tennis once a week. The target client is going to like it so much because first it's going to be made for them. Since you know that it's their interest, they're gonna love that. And also preparing a marathon, they're gonna do something which you like as well. And you knowing that, help them enjoy using the app even better. Now, as we talked about interest, let's go into values. And this is extremely important because every great product is built and marketed in a way that addresses the major customers' values. So first, understanding your audience values will help dictate your marketing tactics. You probably heard the marketing quote, don't sell the product, sell the result. In our case, what's the main value in life for a marathon runner? That might be achievements, right? So being able to accomplish a lot of things. And therefore, we can maybe create more motivational content or promise that with running a marathon or with being able to run a marathon in the way that in our app we teach them, they also going to be able to achieve many other things in life, and that's ultimately what our target client wants. But also secondly is we need to know values for the product. So if we know its achievements, we can think of adding different milestones throughout the training program for the marathon, right? So they, every time they actually train or every time they use an app, they get a small achievement, like completed a milestone, and this is what eventually lead them to the greater result, which is running a marathon, but also in the same time make them feel fulfilled throughout the entire journey of preparation for a marathon. And this is what the values of our clients are, right? Feeling fulfilled and feeling like they achieve a lot, even throughout the process of preparation, not just in the end. So over time, our user will build an association in their brain that, okay, I achieve a lot of things and I feel fulfilled every time I do that. And this app helps me a lot. So let me just use this app more so I can achieve more, so I can feel better. This is the thought process. This is why your user will stick longer to your app, use the app even more, and trust it better. Another aspect which you also really want to know is the major pains and issues which your audience has. And this is needed for a few different reasons. It's because your goal as your product is to solve the issue, and the bigger issue you solve for the audience, the better they remember you. The reason for that is if you know more issues of a target audience and you're actually able to address and solve them, they're gonna remember your product, they're gonna remember your company way better. People don't remember what you do for them, but they remember how you make them feel. And by the way, for the reference, there was a great study done by Daniel Kahneman. He proved that people tend to fear losses way higher than they desire equivalent gains. So for example, the fear of the person losing $50 is way higher than his desire of getting another $50. Similarly, for your product, it's way more important to focus on what people might lose or might not be able to achieve, or the issue which might even expand if they don't use your product, as opposed to showing them just the result of what they might get. To make it more specific and actionable, let's think of our fitness app again. For an example for marketing tactics, you can start talking about different issues of preparing for a marathon. You need to have a training plan, the food plan, the stretching plan, also be able to entertain yourself throughout the whole journey. There's a lot of different issues which a person running a marathon this year is going to have, which he doesn't even understand yet. And if you can show them a bunch of issues which he's either facing now or will face, that first will arise like huge feelings in them. They're gonna think like, okay, well, I didn't think of that. Like, this is really important. How do I do that now? And then you can address those issues in your marketing, promoting your app therefore. And you can say like, okay, we actually solved that all really easy for you. you're going to be able to do this and that and this. And the best thing about solving the issue approach for any business is if you talk to your customers or you share this kind of content online and people don't resonate with it and actually do not sign up for your app, probably there's a issue in the product and actually it's not that valuable for them. So you can now again go to the customers and think, okay, what's the bigger issue I can solve for them? What other issues there are which are, as I mentioned before, underserved for this specific segment of the market. And you can add more features to your product, you can solve more issues with your product, you can make it more valuable for the person. So when you actually talk about the product online, they're like, whoa, this is insane, like let me try that at least. This is how you bring attention, this is how you build great products, this is how you market them. By primarily focusing on the issues and main customer pains. Last category, but not least, is what your customers pay attention to. The reason it's pretty necessary to know that aspect of the customers is to build a really nice brand around your company or product. And since branding nowadays is something huge and there's a bunch of different brands and there's also different ways you can enhance your brand, definitely be creative here and focus on basically anything, just making sure it's relevant to your audience. That can be funny, so making more memes around your brand, making it more shiny, maybe more colorful, happy, or maybe the opposite, making it more strict, more motivational, darker colors, kind of slower pace, something more for goal-oriented people who actually want to achieve stuff, and something not too shiny and childish, but more strict, serious, and mature, I would say. Even if you choose more strict and serious type of brand, you can still keep it quite expressive, and instead of making it humble, you can make more shiny, more maybe a little bit aggressive. As you can see, there are different layers of the brand and different subcategories within the main category of the brand. And last category, but not least, is associations, and that's something I learned recently. So the perception of every person of any brand is some sort of associations. Random example is how everyone perceives Nike as a brand that helps you achieve greater results in sports. And the way they do it is they create an association in our brains with their products and the great people who use their products. Similarly, you have to do the same with your brand or product and understand how can your product or brand be associated with success in whatever field your customers want to achieve success in. So for our fitness app clients, let's think of what they associate success with. First, being accepted by their friends and peers. Second is obviously running a marathon and being athletic, and also just generally active and happy, as many other athletes and many other people running marathons. And all this information will help you build a great brand around that, where you can make videos of people being happy and being very active who use your app, or similar videos of people doing sports together and being part of a great community. This is what your target clients ultimately needs. You can actually apply the same principle for the product development and also innovating new features. For example, you can add the option to collaborate with other people on marathon preparation and on training, and also be able to share the results of each milestone, and especially of the final milestone, which is running a marathon, online. Definitely do spend time developing those associations and understanding them better of your target client, and even the detailed ones, like which clothes the successful marathon runner wears, or which specific people they talk to, where they live, what they eat, etc. Those all associations which your ideal customer will resonate with, or even not necessarily resonate with, but see that as a goal and associate your product with achieving that goal and being successful. A couple of more things which I as a founder want to know about my target audience is also which communities they are into. Those could be communities and smaller groups on Instagram, Facebook. I know LinkedIn has a lot. Another two apps which I really like a lot is Whoop and School, SKOOL. In these communities, people are closer to each other, they respond to each other better, and they will not feel like you're trying to sell them something if you reach out to them through these communities. The reason you need to find these communities is first because people talk a lot about their pains and issues there. Besides that, you can find your first clients in those communities. They're not going to feel like you're selling them. Another aspect which you want to know is which other products or tools your target client uses, so you can maybe partner with other apps and generally exchange traffic from your app or your product to them and their to yours. This is going to create kind of a win-win situation for both you and the partner. Now the last part of the video, as I promised, I want to explain how you can find those data points about your target audience. First is something that I like a lot is talk to them. Whatever product you're selling, whatever company you have, you still can and want to talk to your customers to understand them better. I actually made a whole video about it, and I will create more videos regarding that specific topic because I think this is such an underestimated strategy in business in general. So definitely utilize it. The second approach, you can create a very simple landing page and pay like $100 to bring traffic to it. And on that landing page, you will promise people that they're gonna get access to the product if they fill out the form or fill out the survey, where you ask them all the questions which I mentioned before about them, about the product they want to get. Number 3 is a little bit controversial, but can be really helpful if done right, and this is talk to ChatGPT. I think this is extremely underrated. If you train ChatGPT to understand your target audience better, I created a document outlining the instructions and prompts I used to talk to ChatGPT to understand the audience better. And I'm just going to share that document with you in the description, so check out the link there. One strategy which can help you understand your target audience the best, this is insanely helpful, is be them. Be your target audience yourself, because you understand yourself way better than anyone else. If you are, say, 30 years old and you're building a product for someone who's 60, these are completely different ages, right? Completely different people, completely different values. You have no idea how they live, what they need, what they want. They live a completely different life. If you're building a product for yourself, this is an extremely different story. You will already know the pain points you have. You will know the struggles you have and the issues which you also can solve with your product for yourself, by the way. You know what success looks like to you. You know what associations like. You know your own interests and hobbies. And besides that, you have probably a good network of people and friends around you who can first be the interviewer for your research and also be the first customers of yours. So just to conclude it all, I want to say one important point is that I think every single business is not about the product, but it's about the customers. And if you can understand the customers better, even if your product fails, and if you realize the brand is shit, the marketing isn't working, or even the product is not that valuable, you can still keep the customer and keep the data which you know and you understand about your customer, and maybe build something else, switch to a different strategy, to a different marketing tactic. You will still understand and target the same audience. You're gonna have a little bit more experience trying to sell them before, and now coming from a different side to them. Amazing. So I hope that helps. Please let me know if you applied any of those strategies for your own business. And also I'd love to talk to fellow founders and generally people in startups. I personally work in marketing and product teams for a software startup, and I also run my own e-commerce store on the side. So whatever industry you're in, I'd love to talk to you. Reach out to me via LinkedIn or Instagram or any other platform, and I usually respond within an hour. So feel free to do that, and hope that helps.